Member for Kamloops-South Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am pleased to participate in today's debate in full support of the motion moved by my colleague from Surrey South to, and I quote, scrap this government's reckless decriminalization experiment, end quote. This policy choice, along with the NDP's decision to flood British Columbia with publicly supplied addictive drugs, has been an absolute failure at every single level. Most importantly, since the opioid overdose crisis was declared the public health emergency that it is back on April 2016, 8 years ago, over 14,000 British Columbians have died. It's now the leading cause of death in British Columbia for persons aged 10 to 59. And before we go further into the policy details, let us never forget that each of these are the lives of loved ones. They represent British Columbians that have been lost, family members, mothers, dads, brothers, sisters, cousins, husbands, wives, sons, and daughters. We all share in the grief that everyone has felt as they've lost a loved one. Each loss is a tragedy. But the greatest failure of all is that there are not the supports and the services available to help people with addictions get better, to access a path of wellness. We've sat here this morning and we've listened to a number of members on the NDP side who have not actually talked much about the dearth of beds that there is in this province, the lack of supports and services on the treatment side. This government talks a good game and they're good at announcements, but when it comes to action, the record is appalling. More needs to be done, much, much more, and that is why I'm so proud of the Better is Possible mental health and addiction plan that our leader has put out to actually help people access that care that they need to get better. But, Mr. Speaker, what is most frustrating and what makes all of us even angry about the government's response is that all the NDP seem to focus on is ensuring even more access to publicly supplied illicit addictive drugs everywhere in the province. And in companion to this NDP government sent British Columbians careening down the path of decriminalization, shockingly without putting any guardrails in place. Let's be clear of who's done what here on this file, Mr. Speaker. The NDP had this in their platform in 2020. The title is Fast Track the Move Towards Decriminalization. It was in their platform in 2017 as well. There has never been a vote on decrim in or out of this chamber. Anyone who says that there has been a vote is not telling British Columbians the truth. If there had been a vote, BC United would have voted against it. And anyone who says that BC United voted in favour of decrim is also not telling you the truth. I challenge the NDP to actually call a vote on decrim today. Let's have a vote so that every MLA in this place can actually finally stand up and vote on decrim. There's been lots of talk from this government, even a health committee looking into strategies that the NDP could embrace to better tackle the opioid crisis, and most of the recommendations from that health committee have actually not been put in place. Decrim came up in this health committee, and the committee made it clear that if decrim was to be considered, there must be guardrails. This government has particularly failed at ensuring that the healthcare system is ready, that it's equipped, that there are those treatments and addiction services available. One of the key requirements, if decrim was to even be considered. We were adamant about those necessary protections to protect the public. We pointed out other jurisdictions like Washington and Oregon State that are years ahead of implementing decrim. These states were experiencing massively bad outcomes resulting from the implementation of decrim, and they were dialing it back. And in fact, just the other day, the state of Oregon completely repealed their failed decriminalization experiment. What has the NDP decided to do here? Well, they've doubled down on decrim, pushing it out into every corner of society. Playgrounds, parks, beaches, public spaces, all fair ground for open hard drug use. SkyTrain, transit buses, in restaurants, coffee shops, all fair game for open drug use. We hear from the public every day, why is the NDP government not prioritizing public safety over the rights to do open illicit drugs anywhere people want to? That's a very good question. And we profile these stories every single day. When I hear from a mom in Kamloops who's irate after her child came home from Riverside Park, an Easter egg hunt recently, with a baggie of hard drugs, that makes her angry. That makes me angry. Mr. Speaker, the latest is what's happening in our hospitals, where this government is actually complicit in drugs being, hard illicit drugs being used, being trafficked, and weapons not being seized. There is so much more on this, but this government needs to end this reckless decriminalization experiment in British Columbia and end it today.
Thank you, member.